Hey everyone, it's Sarah from Live Like Rue Foundation. I am joined by Julie, and this is probably going to be a little bit difficult because unfortunately, Julie just lost her dog who Live Like Rue Foundation was trying to help and trying to heal. But Julie, please tell us about Sweet Hamilton and welcome. I really appreciate you joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. And yes, Hamilton was very, very sweet and kind. And, he didn't have a life that would have led you to believe that he would want to be sweet or kind. He came to our lab rescue, the Labrador Connection, as a stray. He had wandered onto the property of a groomer. And when she got to work one day, he was there lying on one of her cots outside of her shop. And so she took a look at him and realized that he needed some TLC, and we were able to get him into the Labrador Connection. But we found out that not only was he a stray, but he was totally blind. And so he was living out on the streets in Southern Illinois with no vision whatsoever. And after he came up here to live with me, also found out that he had almost no teeth. He was probably chewing on really gravelly, hard things that had ground his teeth down. He had a few teeth that he could use in the back, but all of his front teeth were basically ground down and not really usable. So we weren't really sure how old he was, but the vet guessed at that time about 7, and that was at the beginning of 2000.
Wow, I mean, I can't imagine number one, rescuing a dog that has been, and I read your quote. It said his life was not good before I knew him, but he never took it out on anyone. It makes me cry. That's like
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah.
the epitome of a rescue dog, that
Uh-huh.
has been through hell. Um,
Yeah.
so do you have any idea how he became blind at all?
They the vets think that he had SARD, sudden acquired retinal degeneration syndrome. I think that's what it stands for. And he just, his retina stopped functioning. And then after he came to live with me, then he developed cataracts and glaucoma also. But our goal with those things were just to kind of keep him comfortable. I mean, he was already totally blind. It wasn't taking any more of his vision. So we just were, treating things to try to keep his eyes comfortable. But this is a thing that was just so remarkable. Well, one of many things that was so remarkable about Hamilton. I teach kids who are blind and visually impaired, and so I'm really super comfortable around anybody who's blind. And Hamilton was just like this remarkable case study of someone who learned to use basically echolocation like a bat. He could hear things bounce off of walls and other objects, and he'd be walking right toward them. And at the last second, he'd turn away and not run into it. And it was so cool to watch. I mean, as a professional in the blindness field, I just was in awe of his skill. And I mean, he came to me with that. I mean, it isn't something that I taught him. He just was naturally very smart.
I mean, what are the odds? What are the odds that you end up with a dog that's blind? I mean, it
Well, yeah.
really is remarkable.
Yeah, and we actually had another dog in our my rescue that was blind that sort of just passed through my house on her way to the next and final house. And I knew, like I would be really super comfortable with a blind dog that wouldn't bother me in the least. And so then when Hamilton was being posted about, you know, I definitely was interested in him. And then when he came here, he just, my gosh, he was just like really this wonderful presence. But he had kind of no manners. He was so used to having to scavenge for his food that he would scavenge on the table, trying to get stuff right off of my plate. And I'd have to guard my food like I was a dog, put my arms around it. And so he just didn't know where his next meal was going to come from for so long that he was always trying to grab things. And he eventually learned that if he would just wait, then, he would get to try some of it. And he became, just a very good indoor dog. I mean, it didn't take him long to housebreak, but he wasn't, I don't, as I recall, he wasn't very totally housebroken. So he just, you know, he just was smart and friendly, and he learned fast, and he was just such a loving dog. Oh, I can't hear you.
Rue was similar too with the teeth. His teeth
Oh,
were
yeah.
all ground down, and we don't know. Like, was he trying to eat rocks to survive? Was he trying to get out of a crate so much that his teeth like literally wore down?
Well,
That's how we found out he had cancer. Is he went in to get a dental and they found the cancer. So anyway, so Hamilton obviously ended up with a cancer diagnosis. So can you tell us about how you found out and what
mhm.
that journey was like?
Yeah, he started coughing a little bit when it was probably May. I heard a little bit of coughing, and I contacted the vet, and they said, "Well, kennel cough is really prevalent right now, so let's give a try at um, treating him for kennel cough." And so we put him on an antibiotic, which did seem to help some. But then the cough returned, and so I took him in and had him checked out, and they did a chest X-ray and discovered a mass in his chest. And then we were referred to Wisconsin Veterinary Referral Center, where they have an oncology department, and they confirmed that, yeah, indeed, Hamilton had lung cancer, which I had learned that only 1% of primary cancers are lung cancer for dogs. And then of the kind of tumors that can form in a lung, he had the rare kind. So it was something that was actually a surprise and devastating, and just difficult to process through, because this guy didn't deserve anything less than a very long quality of life in a home where he was safe. And it was clear that he wasn't going to get a whole lot more time, that we could do something to prolong his life, and give him some more quality days. But there's no cure for his type of cancer right now.
It hurts for sure. It really hurts when you save them once, and you can't save them again. So I feel that
Yes.
deeply. I feel
Yeah.
that deeply. It's what
Hmm.
happened with Rue too, and you just
Mm.
want them to get to safety and warmth and give them everything, and then when something interrupts that, it hurts so much. It really
It
does.
does. And again, I just I wanted him to have as many quality days as I could provide him, but I knew that we weren't going to be able to, you know, have him for a super long time. But he deserved every quality day that we could give him. And I think, he was, until the last few days, having a lot of quality of life. And when he first started his treatment, he came back really to his old personality, which, I think the cancer started to take away some of his his personality traits, and I didn't realize it until they came back. And he was, snuggling in my lap, and being pushy for, attention. And so it was definitely worth um trying to give him, and successfully giving him, some more days, because he did definitely have improvement.
Yeah, and we've been trying to do this interview for weeks, and I was and so recently, unfortunately, when we lined it up, Julie wrote back and said, "Hey, we lost him. I don't know if this matters." I said, "No, I want to tell his story. We fell in love with him from afar. I know Laura, our medical director, really fell in love with him and his story. Both of us deeply involved in the rescue community. So I know that you've had about $12,000 in bills, and we want to give you $3,000 at least to help out with those."
Oh, I can't even tell you how much that is going to help and what that means. And uh, yeah, thank you so much. And it just, I don't regret spending any money on Hamilton whatsoever, but it does help to have, a little bit of a backup to. Um, and I've had some friends who have been really kind and generous to help also, but just to help with paying that off. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
You're welcome. We're happy to help, and I wish it was more. But I know
Wonderful.
when you have those bills, how hard that is, and especially when it ends up with losing him, it's devastating. It really is, and you're left with kind of nothing but a big pile of bills, and that's why we exist. So we are honored to help you, Julie, and thank you for rescuing, and not just rescuing, but rescuing the tough ones.
Oh, yeah, it's my pleasure because it really is an honor to be able to do this and to help a soul like Hamilton, and just to be then someone that that dog trusts and loves. And it's really an honor to be able to be that person for the dog, or whatever, you know a dog or a cat or a whatever animal, or even a person. If they're troubled and they come to you because they trust you, it's an honor.
I couldn't have said that better. That's really well stated, and it's so true. If you think about it, I think sometimes we get caught up in rescuing and saving and providing for them, but like they really do rely on us. So, so important. Thank you for joining me, Julie. I
Thank you so
really
much.
appreciate it. We'll get that money to you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you to all of your followers. It's really, you're a wonderful organization. And I'm so just honored that you're able to help with our bills for Hamilton. And just thank you so much.
You're welcome.